Middle Tennessee State in the spring of 1968. And I had my roommate, was a white Baha'i who was from Nashville, Gary Matthews. Gary and I, actually right at the beginning, Gary was, I'll have to say he kind of got on my nerves when we first became roommates. And I said something to him that caused tears to come to his eyes. And I said, what am I doing? What am I doing? And we, at that point, became the best of friends because we were able to talk through a lot of the issues that we were having. And as having a white roommate, that was very unusual on the campus. And those of African descent who started out with white roommates ended up switching that next year. But Gary and I remained roommates throughout the year, and so throughout the time we were in school. And we did a lot of things together. We formed the Baha'i Club on campus, and just met a lot of people. We met with the university officials, and many of them thought that there were a large number of Baha'is on campus, not knowing there were only two of us, because we had something going on every week, with invitations, with ads to firesides on campus, with other activities. But there was one day. We were attending the international booth. We also belonged to the international club. And there was going to be homecoming, and we were helping to prepare the booth for the international club. And when I was not around Gary, some white students approached him. They had been smoking, and they took the cigarette, pushed it in his pocket, pressed it against his skin, and told him never to be seen around African Americans again, or else they would do harm to him. And it kind of shook him up and shook me up as well, because there was no way that we could avoid being together, seeing how we were roommates. And I know when I was on the MTSU campus, there was a lot of demonstrations because of the issue of race. I would attend class, be the only African American in the class, and to hear, say, a class of 50 plus saying how they don't like African Americans. It didn't make me feel good to be in that environment. And for the first time in my life, I experienced racism, and it was extremely, extremely painful. Just knowing that I was being ignored because I was African American, knowing that I was being hated because of my hair and the color of my skin. Very painful experience for me, and it took me the longest time to, actually I never got over it. When I was in graduate school, I had, again, tremendous experiences with racism again that was just very painful, where I was ignored. The teacher would ask us to form study circles or study groups. And I would ask the person next to me, would you like to be in my study group? And they would say, no, such and such, I'm in the group with such and such person. So I would go to the next person, and I would be rejected over and over again. Some of the teachers would they would mention in class the inferiority of African Americans. I was thinking, what? And I looked at one of the studies that they were citing and realized that in that study, the study omitted a lot of the data that they had collected, and they were trying to prove a point. And even had another colleague, she was 1 or 2 years ahead of me, made the comment that, why should I be friends with black people? And I I took a deep breath and then asked her if she would like to go out to lunch where we could talk. And we talked and we talked. And eventually, she came to understand the beauty and the benefit of having black friends. She became so aware of the issue of race that she decided she wanted to do some race unity workshops with me, of which we did. We did some national and regional workshops together. As I took a Black History course that was being offered, and one of the assignments was to read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I read that book, and it was wonderful. It was very insightful as I was reading it and learning, actually for the first time, the racism and the prejudice that existed in the country. And this anger rose in me. This hatred rose in me, where I began, again, just thinking of what had happened to Malcolm X and all the things that he wrote in his autobiography, the injustices that had been given to African Americans. It created a lot of anger and hate within me. I was a Baha'i at the time, but I noticed that that anger was there. And I realized that I had to back off briefly from reading the book. I had to go back to, or to continue to say prayers, to read the Baha'i writings, and to associate with Baha'is, to regain my the feeling of unity and love again, to get back to what Baha'u'llah wanted us to be.